Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. As Putin rejects Vatican's peace talks proposal, Trump says that Putin is playing with fire while Russia makes gains in Ukraine. US halts student visa appointments and plans expanded social media vetting. The move as a part of Trump's wide-ranging efforts to fulfill his hardline immigration agenda. India's global outreach on Operation Sindoor continues. All party delegations engage with key figures in multiple nations, highlighting India's continued fight against terrorism. And India set for above normal rainfall with an estimate of 106% downpours. Forecast brings boost for agriculture and rural livelihood. New Delhi's message of zero tolerance against terrorism is echoing worldwide, with India's multi-party delegations holding back-to-back interactions with world leaders, parliamentarians, think tanks, media and civil society in different countries to further unmask Pakistan's cross-border terrorism. An all-party delegation led by DMK MP Kanimuri Karunanidhi reached Greece on Tuesday evening. The delegation was received by the Indian ambassador to Greece, Rudrendra Tandon, at the airport. The delegation will be in Greece for the next 1.5 days, where they will be interacting with government officials, media personalities and parliamentarians of Greece, highlighting Pakistan's terrorism and India's Operation Sindoor.
All these countries, Greece as well as Slovenia, are, as you can see, you can read right here, Greece, Security Council 25, 26, so they are there. Slovenia is there. They are therefore very important today. But they are also important because they are members of the European Union. The European Union is one of the major stakeholders in the world in forming global opinion. So our meetings with these people are not only because they are currently members, and that is a very important point, because Pakistan is also a member of the Union. So to have the other non-permanent members and the permanent members understanding our position, reflecting it, ensures that Pakistan doesn't get the word is entity, and that they can from the back, and the world focus remains on dismantling terror.
Another multi-party delegation led by MP Shrikant Shinde-led delegation is in Congo to brief Congolese officials on India's response to the April 22nd pahalgamterrorattack and its broader fight against cross-border terrorism. While engaging with leaders, the delegation had a meeting with the President of Foreign Affairs Commission Congo, Berthold Ulungu Ekonda Lukata, on Tuesday. Following the meeting, Shrikant Shinde, in a joint conference, expressed gratitude to Congo's President of Foreign Affairs Commission for standing firmly with India in its fight against terrorism. Another multi-party delegation led by MP Bejant Ponda arrived in Saudi Arabia on the third leg of their four-nation visit on Tuesday. The delegation was received by Major General Abdul Rahman Al Harbi, Chairman of Saudi-India Friendship Committee in Riyadh. Saudi Arabia has been an important partner of India for years at various fronts, and now it stands with India to combat terrorism. An all-party Indian parliamentary delegation led by Member Indian Parliament Supriya Sule commenced the South Africa engagement on Tuesday in Johannesburg with a community interaction to reiterate India's message against terrorism. The Indian delegation conveyed India's zero-tolerance policy towards cross-border terrorism. DD India's Nazneen Ismail reports.
The Indian all-party delegation led by Supriya Sule arrived safely in South Africa on the 27th of May and will be in the country up until the 29th of May, attending a series of meetings. As part of the visit, the delegation will travel to Cape Town and engage with key stakeholders. Upon arrival, the delegation attended a short briefing with the High Commissioner of India.
South Africa and India have been partners for many years. South Africa and India are strategic partners since 1990. The first Indians to come in South Africa was in 1860 as indentured labor. So there's a long history with South Africa. We are working together in multilateral programs and also bilaterally. Prime Minister was here in 2023 for the BRICS meeting. He will be coming for G20 meeting, which is taking place in November. So, and he has come twice before as well.
Thereafter attended a community interaction in Johannesburg, where the Indian diaspora turned up in large numbers and warmly welcomed the delegation.
Bharat Mata ki Jai! Bharat Mata ki Jai! Bharat Mata ki Jai! Jai Hind! Jai Hind!
I appeal to every Indian citizen here that you must tell the truth to the world, and we all in one voice must condemn any terrorism anywhere in the world. And we have come with a message of peace, love, harmony. But at the same time, we must not forget that India is not going to tolerate any violence against any Indians anymore. And that's the message that we have come. Our first effort will always be peace. I'm so happy that South Africa, the government has stood by India, and they have joined hands with us for zero tolerance against any terrorism.
The message from this visit is clear. India is against terrorism in all its forms and will remain resolute in its stand against it. For DD India, Johannesburg, South Africa, I'm Nazneen, bringing you the pulse on global progress.
An all-party delegation led by India's Member of Parliament Shashi Tharoor visited Panama's National Assembly to share India's views on fighting terrorism. The delegation has arrived in Panama City for a 3-day visit after their trip to Guyana. The delegation is currently engaged with the local leaders, journalists and members of the Indian community to strengthen ties between India and Panama and reaffirm India's firm stance against cross-border terrorism. Earlier, in his address to the Assembly, Dr. Shashi Tharoor once again reiterated India's firm stance against terrorism and recalled key operations like that of Uri and Balakot strikes, which marked a shift in India's response strategy.
But what has changed in recent years is that the terrorists have also realized they will have uprisings. On that, let there be no doubt. When, for the first time, India breached the line of control between India and Pakistan to conduct a surgical strike on a terror base, a launch pad, the Uri strike in September 2015, that was already something we had not done before. Even during the Kargil War, we had not crossed the line of control. In Uri we did. Then came the attack in Pulwama in January 2019. This time we crossed not only the line of control, we crossed the international border and we struck a terrorist headquarters in Balakot. This time we have gone beyond both of those. We have not only gone beyond the line of control and the international border, we have struck at the Punjabi heartland of Pakistan by hitting terror bases, training centers, terror headquarters in 9 places.
India's all-party delegation will reach Indonesia on Wednesday to project in New Delhi's national consensus and resolute approach to combating terrorism in all forms and manifestations. The cohort will be in Indonesia until Saturday. Chandni Vasandani reports from Jakarta.
We are here ahead of the visit of the all-party delegation that will arrive in Jakarta on Wednesday morning. This 4-day visit is a vital component of India's multinational mission to strengthen the global narrative against cross-border terrorism. This delegation is led by Mr. Sanjay Kumar Jha, and they will come here to brief Indonesian counterparts on India's response to the Pahalgam terror attack back on April 22nd. The delegation will meet with several members of the Indonesian parliament, and we can expect that the discussions will underline the threat of terrorism and the importance of international cooperation against terrorism. They're also expected to visit the ASEAN Secretariat to meet with the ASEAN Secretary General. During this visit, they will also be meeting with several representatives of Indonesian political parties and influential think tanks. This is a good opportunity for the Indian delegation to, voice their concerns about terrorism, which is a clear and present threat that exists until today, and rally support for Operation Sindoor as a response to terrorism. Beyond these high-level discussions and dialogues, they will also meet with the Nahdlatul Ulama, which is the world's largest Islamic organization that is based in Indonesia. They also have, in their agenda, they also have scheduled to have several community and cultural engagements where they will interact and meet with media houses and members of the Indian diaspora based in Indonesia. This visit to Jakarta represents a very serious diplomatic effort to forge stronger partnerships and amplify the call for decisive action against those who commit and support acts of terror. After this Jakarta leg, the delegation will travel to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I am Chandni Vasandani reporting from Jakarta.
Now, another all-party delegation led by BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad reached Italy's Rome on the second leg of the multi-nation visit on Wednesday. In Rome, the delegation would be interacting with the members of parliament, think tanks and media. They will also meet a cross-section of vibrant Indian community in Italy. Earlier in France, the delegation met with the senators of the India-France Friendship Group and the Committee on Foreign Affairs and Defence in Paris. So, India's all-party parliamentary delegation wrapped up their two-day official visit to Paris. According to delegation members, the visit to Paris was fruitful and they succeeded in conveying India's message to both the French government and the French people. DD India correspondent Rohini Gosavi reports from Paris.
During 2 days stay in Paris, all-party delegation led by Shri Ravi Shankar Prasad held several important meetings to strengthen the partnership between India and France. The delegation is carrying a strong and united message from India that there will be no compromise on terrorism.
The delegation met the Indian community, they met the French media, they met French think tanks, French parliamentarians at the National Assembly and the Senate, where they conveyed India's new normal approach, which has been articulated against terrorism, where they expressed the need to fight this common challenge of terrorism that the world is confronted with today.
The delegation met with members of the French Senate and the India-France Friendship Group. They discussed about working together to fight terrorism. The discussions were friendly and positive. Both sides agreed on the importance of continuing dialogue between parliaments of India and France. The meeting helped build more trust and friendship, and both countries showed interest in taking the partnership forward through more talks and cooperation.
We are fighting against terrorism in France also, and I think it's a very strong, exactly like the president of the delegation I said, it's like a cancer, and we have to fight against it. And I think we are stronger when we are together against this cancer.
A special breakfast meeting was also held with members of the French media. The delegation had open and friendly conversations. They also presented strong evidence against Pakistan's false claims and repeated India's firm stand against terrorism. And they especially mentioned that Rafale are the best thing India has in our defense.
Everybody stood in solidarity with India. They understand the pain of terrorism. They understand the concerns that we are raising. Our concerns with regards to bringing accountability to a rogue nation like Pakistan. And what was extremely encouraging was that France totally understands a point of view, a perspective, and has come out strongly in solidarity with us.
The delegation also met with the Indian community in Paris, and diaspora welcomed the delegation with pride. The members of delegation clearly said that India does not tolerate terrorism and called for support from other countries to fight it together. With all meetings completed successfully, the delegation has left Paris to continue its European tour and hold further discussions and strengthen India's ties with other European countries. Rohini Gosavi in Paris for DD India.
India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is on a visit to the United States till May 29th. During his visit, he met U.S. Under Secretary Jeffrey Kessler, discussing India-U.S. cooperation in critical and emerging technologies. They also discussed the early convening of the India-U.S. Strategic Trade Dialogue to deepen tech and trade collaboration. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri's visit is a follow-up to Prime Minister's visit to the United States in February 2025, when both sides had launched the India-US Compact, which means catalyzing opportunities for military partnership, accelerated commerce and technology for the 21st century. Compact is a 10-year roadmap to elevate the US-India major defense partnership, enabling co-production and joint development of critical military platforms. After an 8-month sea odyssey, INSV Tarini, carrying 2 women officers, is set to return home on May 29th, marking the culmination of a challenging voyage that spanned 4 continents. Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi had flagged off the Indian naval sailing vessel Tarini from Naval Ocean Sailing Node in Goa on October 2nd last year. The flag-in ceremony of Tarini will be presided over by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh at the Mormugao port in Goa, formally marking the culmination of the global circumnavigation. India reiterated its strong commitment to strengthening traditional medicine systems as part of an integrated approach to healthcare. Speaking at the 78th World Health Assembly held in Geneva, India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Arindam Bagchi, welcomed the adoption of the new WHO Global Traditional Medicine Strategy 2025 to 2034. He highlighted India's efforts to embed evidence-based traditional practices into national and global health frameworks. India's initiatives resonate strongly with these principles, underscoring its role as a committed partner in advancing traditional medicine for global well-being. India remains dedicated to supporting WHO and member states in realizing the full potential of traditional medicine in achieving universal health coverage and the Sustainable Development Goals. India's Defence Research and Development Organization, DRDO, inaugurated the Quantum Technology Research Centre in New Delhi on Tuesday. The facility was inaugurated by DRDO Chairman Dr. Samir Kamath with the aim to further strengthen indigenous quantum capabilities for strategic and defence applications. QRTC is equipped with state-of-the-art experimental setups designed to propel research and development in critical quantum domains. Spearheaded by Solid State Physics Laboratory, QTRC also focuses on foundational technologies, including an ultra-small atomic clock for highly precise timekeeping in global navigation satellite system denied environments, an atomic magnetometer, and cutting-edge solid-state quantum devices and materials. The India Meteorological Department has upgraded its monsoon forecast for the year 2025, predicting 106% of the long period average rainfall, slightly higher than the 105% forecast in April. This increase is expected to benefit the country's agriculture sector. Regionally, from June to September 2025, the rainfall is most likely to be above normal over central India and the South Peninsular region, while northwest India is expected to experience normal rainfall levels. In contrast, northeast India is likely to receive below normal rainfall. The monsoon core zone, which covers much of India's rain-fed and agricultural land, is also forecast to receive above normal rainfall, providing a favourable outlook for the Kharif cropping season. India celebrates the birth anniversary of freedom fighter Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, also known as Vir Savarkar, on 28th May. Born in the year 1883 in a Brahmin Hindu family of India's Nashik district, Savarkar played various roles as a revolutionary freedom fighter, writer and political leader who left an indelible mark on the history of the country. During his fight against Britishers, Savarkar was sentenced to 2 life imprisonments and sentenced to Kala Pani, that is the cellular jail in the Andamans. As a strong supporter of Hindu unity, Savarkar used his literary skills to advocate the concept of Hindutva, which he described as the essence of Hindu identity and culture. Vir Savarkar's birth anniversary is a special day to remember his contributions to India's independence and social reform. You're watching DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. Trump administration moves to cut $100 million in federal contracts for Harvard. Trump proposes Canada to join his Golden Dome missile defense system for free, but only if it becomes part of the United States. And after 2 explosive failures, SpaceX missed the flight test attempt of Starship rocket again. Fuel leak and loss of control bring the test to fail. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Russian President Vladimir Putin was playing with fire. Trump's latest comments follow some of the biggest drone and missile attacks on Ukraine since the conflict began in early 2022. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said, "What Vladimir Putin doesn't realize that if it weren't for Trump, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia." And DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us with more on this story. Akshay, after calling Putin absolutely crazy, Trump is raising the bar here on criticizing Vladimir Putin. Do you think this pressure tactic would work with Vladimir Putin to come to the negotiating table himself?
Well, it doesn't seem like it, Tanvi, because what Donald Trump had assumed as far as his social media outlashes are concerned and the jibes that he has been taking on either Truth Social or X, he thought that threats will make the war stop, or the luring the adversaries with trade, with business is going to change the realities as far as Eastern Europe is concerned. That was the assumption of Donald Trump, but it seems that after about almost half a year of Donald Trump trying to negotiate, trying to lure Russia, or trying to rather convince the adversaries to stop the war, stop the conflict, and do business instead, seems to not have been working as far as the ground is concerned. So this is a setback, especially for Donald Trump, who has been making very, very tall claims when it comes to Russia, when it comes to Ukraine. He has been saying that he can stop the war, or he will be getting the war stopped with business and with trade. However, geopolitics are quite different as far as when on the ground are concerned, because many a times much larger stakes than trade and money are involved when it comes to people going all out against each other in face of conflict. And this is what is happening as far as Ukraine and Russia are concerned. So the tensions remain as far as Ukraine and Russia are concerned. While Ukraine expects Russia to give it back the Donetsk, Donbass, Kherson, and Luhansk region, but it seems that Russia is in no mood to have any kind of negotiation on returning any of those areas. Plus, it seems that it wants to continue with its offensive till the time by the Ukrainian forces when it comes to these regions, and no attempt or rather a ceasefire based on the fact that Ukraine surrenders these regions to Russia, which has been a very important strategic goal for the Russian Federation. But it seems that these lures and these tactics that have been used by Donald Trump, for which he has taken a lot of credit for, have failed to work, at least in this scenario.
Okay. Trump is considering new sanctions potentially this week, although he said he could still change his mind. But if he does announce sanctions, what could he target now?
Well, first of all, Tanvi, we have to see that this is U.S. president, the world's strongest man. We are talking about, these kind of statements coming in from the U.S. president show lack of depth and strategy as far as these claims are concerned. Because let's be honest, you can't give a veiled threat and then say you will be changing your mind, as if you're talking to a teenager to try and get them to do something. A lot is at stake here when it comes to the conflict is concerned. Thousands of people have already lost their lives. Thousands of soldiers of both sides have lost their lives. There has been critical damage to infrastructure, which has been worth over several $100 billion. A couple of $1 billion and trade is not going to change the realities between the two countries. It's not a small nation of Latin America or Africa Trump is dealing with. It is dealing with the world's largest country. We are talking about the Russian Federation, which was a superpower before 1991, before the disintegration of Soviet Union, which was the primary rival of the USA in the Cold War. So US is not dealing with an adversary which is much smaller than its size, and it can then manipulate it into coming to some terms with its adversary. In the face of some trade coming in. So strategies have to change, and while sanctions may be announced or may not be announced by the Trump administration, we have seen it in the past that sanctions have failed to work when it comes to larger countries. Russia can very well start doing business with China and other countries in the region if US places any major sanctions. Anyway, the Russian businessmen are not allowed to do business with Europe in most of the sections. With US, there are already plenty of sanctions there on Russian firms. So we'll see how these veiled threats work, and whether there is some steps taken by the Russian Federation as well, by Vladimir Putin, in the direction of peace. But so far, these tactics have clearly failed to work on the ground.
Okay, thank you very much, Akshay Dongre, with all those updates and analysis. US President Donald Trump said that Canada could join his proposed Golden Dome missile defense system for free, but only if it becomes part of the United States. Otherwise, it would cost Canada $61 billion to be part of the system. Trump said he repeatedly has called for the United States' northern neighbor to become the 51st state. Canada has expressed interest in joining the missile system, plans for which Trump unveiled last week to defend against a wide array of enemy weapons, but has firmly rejected any loss of sovereignty. Trump announced plans for the Golden Dome system a week ago, saying it would eventually cost around $175 billion and would be operational by the end of his term in 2029. US President Donald Trump's administration has ordered US missions abroad to stop scheduling new student and exchange visitor visa appointments, as the State Department plans to expand social media vetting for foreign students. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said updated guidance on vetting would be issued after a review is completed. However, already scheduled appointments can proceed. The move is part of the administration's broader efforts to tighten immigration policies, including ramping up deportations and targeting student visas. The expanded social media vetting will change how consular sections operate, with a focus on the resources needed for each case. The administration also links student visa holders' support for Palestinians or criticism of Israel to potential deportation, accusing them of threatening US foreign policy. Further, the Trump administration plans to end the federal government's remaining contracts with Harvard University, which are valued at around $100 million. The U.S. General Services Administration sent a letter to federal agencies directing them to review and potentially terminate or reallocate these contracts. The move follows the administration's broader push against Harvard, including cancelling nearly $3 billion in federal research grants and attempting to revoke the university's ability to enroll international students. A federal judge temporarily blocked this move, but the administration has also stopped scheduling new student and exchange visitor visa appointments. Several hundred protesters, including Harvard University students and professors, demonstrated in support of foreign students at the Harvard campus on Tuesday, while also protesting Trump administration's efforts to cut off funding to the university. Still to come on DD India News Hour. A US judge allows a group of 14 states to move ahead with a lawsuit challenging Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency over cost-cutting measures. Europe's James Webb Space Telescope captures the deepest view of the universe, revealing ancient galaxies and cosmic evolution. And a Brazilian nun surprises viewers with beatboxing performance on a Catholic TV show.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. A reminder of the headlines we're tracking at this hour. As Putin rejects Vatican peace talks proposals, Trump says that Putin is playing with fire while Russia makes gains in Ukraine. US halts student visa appointments and plans expanded social media vetting. The move is a part of Trump's wide-ranging efforts to fulfill his hardline immigration agenda. India's global outreach on Operation Sindoor continues. All party delegations engage with key figures in multiple nations, highlighting India's strong stance against terrorism. And India set for above normal rainfall with an estimate of 106% downpours. Forecast brings boost for agriculture and rural livelihood. On to West Asia now. Mourners gathered on Tuesday to mourn and reflect on the life of Sarah Milgram, the 26-year-old Israeli embassy staffer who was killed by a gunman outside Capital Jewish Museum last week. Rabbis and a representative from the Israeli embassy shared memories of Sarah and her commitment to building bridges between Arabs and Jews in hopes of ending the bloodshed in West Asia. Milgram and her boyfriend Yaron Lishinke, 30, were about to be engaged on a planned trip to Israel this week. Their murders are widely condemned as an act of anti-Semitism. The suspect in the shooting, Elias Rodriguez, 31, is accused of opening fire on a group of people last Wednesday as they left an event for young diplomats hosted by the American Jewish Committee, an advocacy group that supports Israel and fights anti-Semitism. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth welcomed his Polish counterpart, Kosiniak-Kamyz, to Pentagon on Tuesday, praising Poland's 5% investment in NATO. Hegseth called Poland a model ally and said the United States doesn't need to encourage Poland to a defense spend target of 5% of their GDP. Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense W. Kosiniak-Kamyz said that Poland believes it was necessary to send Europe a strong message, a strong signal for burden sharing within NATO. The comments came one day after NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said that he assumes alliance members will agree to a broad defense spending target of 5% of their GDP during a summit in The Hague next month. A US judge allowed 14 states to proceed with a lawsuit challenging Elon Musk's role in slashing federal spending as head of President Trump's new government efficiency agency. However, the judge dismissed claims against Trump himself, ruling that the court won't interfere with his presidential duties. The lawsuit, filed by attorneys general from New Mexico, Oregon and 12 other states, argue that Musk's cost-cutting actions were unauthorized by law. They seek to halt Musk's efforts to cut federal spending and shut down agencies Trump disapproves of. The states claim Musk has been given powers usually reserved for confirmed government officials at DOGE, the agency Musk leads, and has dismantled programs and cut thousands of jobs. U.S. District Judge Lewis Lemon on Tuesday issued a temporary restraining order barring the U.S. Transportation Department from withholding federal funding from New York, countering the Trump administration's push to end Manhattan's congestion pricing program, as per NBC New York. The ruling, effective until June 9th, followed a hearing one day before Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy's deadline to withhold project approvals. MTA CEO Janu Leiber stated the judge rejected federal punitive actions, emphasizing a swift resolution. Launched in January 2025, the $9 peak hour toll for vehicles entering Manhattan below 60th Street has reduced traffic by 12% in April, raising $1 billion annually for transit upgrades. Mexico's Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard announced that the mandatory 6-year review of US-Mexico-Canada agreement, which replaced the North American Free Trade Agreement in 2020, is set to begin in early October 2025. Speaking at a banking event on Tuesday, Ebrard said the review, initially expected in the second half of 2025, will evaluate the trilateral trade pact. US President Donald Trump, who negotiated the USMCA, has pushed for renegotiation to secure better US terms and impose tariffs on some Canadian and Mexican imports. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney emphasized involving bilateral issues, including fentanyl smuggling, before talks. The review aims to strengthen North American trade cooperation. French President Emmanuel Macron will meet his Indonesian counterpart Prabowo Subianto in Jakarta on Wednesday, and defense ties with Paris's biggest arms client in Southeast Asia are expected to be on the agenda. Indonesia is the second leg of Macron's regional trip after Vietnam, where the two countries signed deals worth over $10 billion. He's scheduled to fly to Singapore on Tuesday. Indonesia's foreign ministry said that the two sides would discuss existing strategic partnerships without giving specific details about the areas of discussion. In 2022, the two countries signed an $8.1 billion defense deal that included an order for 42 Rafale fighter jets made by France's Dassault Aviation, as well as a series of agreements including submarine development and ammunition. Though no Rafale jets have been delivered to Indonesia yet. Prabowo, who became president of Indonesia last year, was the defense minister when these deals were signed. After Indonesia, Macron will conclude his Southeast Asia trip with a final stopover in Singapore. Meanwhile, French lawmakers in the National Assembly approved a bill to legalize assisted dying on Tuesday, paving the way for France to become the latest European nation to allow terminally ill people to end their lives. The bill passed with 305 lawmakers voting for and 199 against. The final passage of the bill remains some way off, as it will go on to the Senate, where it will be further debated. Polls show more than 90% of French people are in favor of the laws that give people with terminal diseases or interminable suffering the right to die. The vote was preceded by another on a bill related to palliative care, which passed unanimously with 561 votes. The bill on assisted dying makes it possible for any French person over the age of 18 suffering from a serious or incurable condition that is either life-threatening or advanced or terminal condition to end their life. Venezuela's ruling Socialist Party held its significant majority in the National Assembly in a Sunday election, winning nearly 83% of votes according to the Electoral Authority. Though the contest was boycotted by some opposition leaders amid deep division among parties opposed to the government of President Nicolas Maduro. Some of the country's major opposition leaders called for voters to abstain in protest of the official results of the July 2024 presidential election, which the opposition said it won, but which authorities say was Maduro's victory. Sunday's legislative results will keep the ruling party in control of the Attorney General's office and the top court, whose members are elected by lawmakers. US Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced that COVID-19 vaccines are no longer recommended for healthy children and pregnant women, marking a significant shift in federal public health policy. The decision comes after the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, limited the approval of COVID shots to adults aged 65 and older, as well as younger individuals with underlying health conditions. Trump administration have framed the shift as bringing the US into closer alignment with countries like that of Britain, Germany and France, where annual boosters are recommended only for the elderly and immunocompromised people. FDA officials also said vaccine manufacturers will need to conduct new clinical trials, including comparisons against a saline placebo, if they wish to retain approval for use in healthy people under 65.
I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
Moving south, Brazil has confirmed new cases of bird flu in wild animals, which officials say pose no risk to commercial operations. Agriculture Minister Carlos Favaro said on Tuesday that authorities are investigating a potential new case on a commercial farm. After an outbreak was reported on a farm in the southern city of Montenegro, it prompted trade bans from multiple countries at both regional and national levels. Favaro told a Senate hearing that the case should be treated as something natural since Brazil is rich in migratory birds which generally transmit viruses. Preliminary tests had already indicated a negative result for a case under investigation on a commercial farm in the northern state of Tocantins. In central Mexico, 17 bodies were discovered inside a house. Prosecutor's office of the Mexican state of Guanajuato on Tuesday said authorities found 16 bodies inside a clandestine grave on Friday in a home in Irapuato, while another partially skeletonized corpse was found on Saturday. The bodies were taken to forensic laboratory to be identified. The 9th test flight of SpaceX Starship launched on Tuesday failed after facing significant challenges despite reaching farther than previous attempts. The two-stage spacecraft, consisting of the Starship vessel mounted atop a towering SpaceX Super Heavy rocket booster from the company's Star-based launch site on the Gulf Coast of Texas near Brownsville. SpaceX launched the Starship system with the previously flown Super Heavy booster for the first time, aiming to achieve a key demonstration of the reusability. But about a half hour after launch, SpaceX said that its flight team had lost altitude control over Starship as it leaked fuel, spun out of control and made an uncontrolled re-entry after flying halfway around the world, likely disintegrating over the Indian Ocean. An explosion at a chemical plant in eastern China on Tuesday killed at least 5 people, with 6 more still missing. The blast occurred at Huado chemical plant at around 12 p.m. in Gaome, a town in Shandong province, around 450 kilometers southeast of capital Beijing. More than 200 emergency workers responded to the blast. Huado chemical manufactures low toxicity pesticides and employs around 300 people on a site of 116 acres. Industrial accidents occur regularly in China, where safety standards in its countless factories are sometimes not respected. In 2015, explosions at warehouses containing flammable chemicals in the port city of Tianjin killed over 170 people and injured 700 others. The European Space Agency announced on Tuesday that the James Webb Space Telescope has delivered its deepest view of a single target, revealing spinning arcs of light from galaxies in the universe's distant past. These images showcase ancient galactic structures, highlight Webb's unparalleled ability to peer billions of years back in time. The telescope's advanced infrared capabilities enable it to capture light from the early universe, offering new insights into cosmic evolution. This milestone underscores the collaborative efforts of NASA, ESA, and the Canadian Space Agency in advancing astrophysical research and understanding the origins of galaxies. A Brazilian nun named Marziel Cassiano took viewers by surprise when she began beatboxing during a Catholic television show. Cassiano was accompanied by Sister Marisa Paola de Neves, who swiftly adjusted her dance routine to match the changing beat. Both women were guests on TV Pi Eterno Network's show Family of Love, promoting a women's vacation retreat in the city of Goiânia. You're watching the India News Hour, still to come on the show. Donald Trump plans to raise about $2.5 billion to invest in Bitcoin. The move aligns with the trend of companies adding crypto to their balance sheets. Alexander Zverev advances in the French Open while Daniil Medvedev of Russia stumbles out. And Jitesh Sharma powers RCB to a crucial win over LSG in the last league stage game of IPL 2025. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. On to business news now. The International Monetary Fund reviewed that Egypt has made progress towards macroeconomic stability and has been streamlining tax and customs procedures, but still needs to widen its tax base. An IMF team visited Egypt from May 6 to May 18th as part of its fifth review of an $8 billion financial support agreement signed in March 2024. Egypt's central bank said last week that the economy grew by 4.3% in the October-December quarter and projected that it would grow by 5% in January to March. The IMF statement said better oversight and control over large public sector infrastructure projects was helping to contain demand pressure. The IMF approved its fourth review of the program in March, unlocking a disbursement of $1.2 billion. Vietnam is accelerating trade talks with the United States to secure a deal before July 2025, when tariffs of 32 to 49% could hit 6 Southeast Asian nations, as announced by President Trump in April. Posts on X highlight Vietnam's efforts to prove its exports are not Chinese-made, addressing U.S. scrutiny. The ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur this week emphasized regional strategies to mitigate tariff impacts. Vietnam's proactive negotiations aim to safeguard its manufacturing hub status, critical for electronics and textiles. According to international media sources, a successful deal could bolster Vietnam's economy, which saw $12 billion in foreign investment inflows this month. Trump media plans $2.5 billion raise to invest in cryptocurrency. Trump Media and Technology Group, TMTG, announced on Tuesday its plan to raise $2.5 billion, including a Bitcoin treasury initiative. The company has secured agreements with 50 institutional investors for a private placement of $1.5 billion in common stock and $1 billion in convertible senior secured notes. TMTG expects to close the offering by May 29th. CEO Devin Nunes emphasized Bitcoin's role in defending the company against financial discrimination. Crypto firms Crypto.com and Anchorage Digital will manage TMTG's cryptocurrency assets. Trump's push aims to establish the United States as the crypto capital of the world. Panama has declared a state of emergency in Bocas del Toro province after Chiquita Brands laid off 5,000 of its 7,000 workers, citing a month-long strike over pension reforms. The strike, which began in April, halted banana production, blocked roads and stopped school instruction, costing Chiquita $75 million in losses. Construction workers also joined the protests against the reforms approved by Congress. The emergency declaration enables the government to bypass bureaucratic delays to address the crisis, crucial for a region reliant on tourism and bananas. President Jose Raul Molino warned of further job losses if strikes persist, as per Newsroom Panama. And next, sporting action. First, updates from IPL cricket. Stand-in captain Jitesh Sharma led Royal Challengers Bengaluru to a commanding 6-wicket win over Lucknow Super Giants in the last league fixture of IPL 2025 on Tuesday. Rishabh Pant's unbeaten 118 along with Mitchell Marsh's heroics helped LSG set up a mammoth target of 228. However, the night belonged to Jitesh and RCB. Virat Kohli set the tone for the chase with a 30-ball 54, while Phil Salt made a quick-fire 30. With this win, RCB have advanced to the qualifier 1 on Thursday, where they will face Punjab Kings. The winner of qualifier 1 will move to the final. The Indian Deaf cricket team defeated Trinidad and Tobago by 211 runs to take a 1-0 lead in a 3-match T20 series. Batting first, the Indian team posted a massive total of 250 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in the allotted 20 overs. Skipper Virender Singh scored an unbeaten 109, while Krishna Goda scored a solid 50. In response, the Trinidad and Tobago team was bowled out for just 39 runs in front of a fierce Indian bowling attack. Indian captain Virender Singh was declared man of the match. Namibia is set to play against South Africa for the first time in the T20 format, which will mark the official opening of the Namibia Cricket Ground. In the historic fixture, the two teams will compete in the one-off T20 International on 11th October at Namibia's capital, Windhoek. The new stadium will host matches in 2026 Under-19 Cricket World Cup and the 2027 Men's Cricket World Cup. It will be the very first time that Namibia will host World Cup games. And on to tennis now. In French Open, Alexander Zverev made an impressive start to his latest bid for a first Grand Slam title with a straight sets win over US teenager Lena Tien on Tuesday. The German third seed saw off Tien 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. The 28-year-old, who has lost all 3 of his Grand Slam finals, has made it to the semi-finals in each of the last 4 editions of the French Open. A former world number 1, Daniil Medvedev of Russia, stumbled out of the French Open with a first-round defeat by Britain's Cameron Norrie. Novak Djokovic beat Mackenzie McDonald of the United States 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 in first round. Fresh from claiming his 100th title at Geneva last week, Djokovic bids for his record-breaking 25th Grand Slam title. And with that, we wind up this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles. For those on the go, you can download Our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.
सिंदूर नहीं मिटने देंगे, तिरंगा नहीं झुकने देंगे, अब जुल्म नहीं हमको सहना, मेरे देश का यारो क्या कहना।
रग रग बोले जय हिंद, मर मर बोले जय हिंद, ना दम से झुके ना डर से डरे, जय हिंद।
पहलगाम की राख में हमने देखी थी वो आग, हर आंसू ने संकल्प लिया, हर दिल में गूंजी पुकार, सिंदूर नहीं मिटने देंगे,
सिंदूर नहीं मिटने देंगे,
तिरंगा नहीं झुकने देंगे,
तिरंगा नहीं झुकने देंगे,
अब जुल्म नहीं हमको सहना, मेरे देश का यारो,
मेरे देश का यारो क्या कहना,
ओ मेरे देश का यारो क्या कहना। बहनों ने फिर पहना गहना, मेरे देश का यारो क्या कहना।
जो मासूम लहू से खेल गए, खंडर बन गए उनके किले, हर गोली ने जो जख्म दिए, चुन चुन के सारे बदले लिए,
सिंदूर नहीं मिटने देंगे, तिरंगा नहीं झुकने देंगे, अब जुल्म नहीं हमको सहना, मेरे देश का यारो,
मेरे देश का यारो